Okay, so hello everyone. Today I'm going to explain those two problems that were posted on Monday. So the first problem is we have this this steam power plant, and that uses superheated steam. The temperature in the generator is 600 degrees. It's 600 degrees Celsius. And then they use some river water to cool the condenser, and this temperature is 20. And so we want to find the maximum efficiency that this plant could have. So basically, the efficiency is just defined as the amount of work done over the heat that is inputted into this system. So basically, this heat, you can basically think of this as like a Carnot cycle, which is basically a cycle that goes through 4 different stages. And I probably don't have the time to go into too much detail about all of the stages, but basically in it, there is this heat inputted, which we call Q1. And then some heat this is at the beginning of the cycle, and then some heat Q2 is removed at the end of during the second stage. So basically, this total work is then just like the change in energy, which is just the same as the change in heat. So this is just Q1 minus Q2, and of course, the heat inputted is Q1. So then it seems like it should be pretty easy to calculate this, but of course, we don't know the values for this heat. We have to write this in terms of the temperature. So to do that, there is a very simple formula to relate the heat to the temperature, and I'll just do a quick derivation of it. Basically, the derivation uses something called entropy, which is a state-based function, which means that the entropy only depends on the current state of like the system. And that's really important because it means that at the entropy at the beginning of a Carnot cycle is the same as the entropy at the end of it. So when we input the heat Q1, and when we remove some amount of heat Q2, it causes the entropy to change. And the formula for this is delta S. The change in entropy is equal to the Q over T, where T is the temperature. So when the heat Q1 is inputted, then we get that this delta S1 is equal to it's equal to delta Q over T, the temperature. But in this case, so that's basically the change in the heat over the temperature. But in this case, we can just denote it as the Q1 from earlier, because that's already the heat being inputted, or the heat that is changing. Similarly, this delta S2 is equal to Q2 over T, because Q2 is the heat being removed, which is also changing heat. So then we need these, if we subtract them, they have to be equal to 0, because as I mentioned earlier, the total change in entropy at the end of the cycle has to be 0. And these are the two changes from when the heat is being inputted and removed. So then this means that Q1 over T, and this T, I neglected to mention, this T would actually be these respective T1 and T2s, because the temperature during these two different stages of the cycles will be different. So then Q1 over T1 is equal to Q2 over T2, and so then this Q2 over Q1 is just equal to T2 over T1. So then we go back to this the formula for the efficiency from earlier. This is equal to 1 minus Q2 over Q1, and we can see that this is equal to 1 minus T2 over T1. So now we can just plug in our numbers to find the efficiency. T2 is equal to 20 Celsius, but of course we have to convert that to SI units, which is in Kelvin. So to convert that to Celsius to Kelvin, you just have to add 273. So then the line is equal to 1 minus 293 over 873, which is T1, and this is equal to around 0.66. So that's the efficiency. And that is the answer to problem 1. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, if there are no questions, then I'll do the second problem. So the second problem is pretty easy. Basically, there is a sphere. Yeah, there's this spherical mass with a radius of r and a density rho. And there is a cavity in it, which is also a sphere. It's like over here, and it has a radius of r over 4. And so we want to find the gravitational acceleration at a point P here, which is a distance x from the surface of the sphere. And so yeah, I think that's basically the problem. So then, okay, so the force for the formula for the force from gravity is this: F is equal to G times M1 M2 over R squared. R is the distance between the two masses, and this big G is a constant. So then one of the one of the concepts that is used the most when solving these problems involving gravity is superposition. Basically, that you can add two forces from two different objects on another object. As in, if you want to find the combined force from object 1 and object 2 on object 3, you can just add two forces separately. And so that's really important here, because that means that you can also subtract them. So if we call the well, since this center is C, then if we say that the force from the big sphere overall, if there weren't a cavity were FC, this is equal to, let's call the force from the current, like the current object that does have a cavity, FA, and let's call the force from the sphere, like from the spherical mass that is like cavity B, then FC is equal to FA that, plus FB. It's like yeah, FB is basically the small sphere, FA is this mass with a cavity in it. So then since we have this equation, that also means that this FA, which is basically what we're trying to find, is equal to FC minus FB. So then, and since we can see that FA by itself is pretty hard to calculate, but but the C and B are both spheres, so those should be much easier to calculate, and we can just use that to find it. So then now it should be pretty easy. You can just plug these numbers into the formula here. So we have this FC is equal to G times let's say M. This is, well, for this problem, we're trying to find the acceleration at this point P. So we can just basically, well, it might be more better actually to just find acceleration here. AC is equal to G, and then the mass of the entire sphere, which would be 4/3 pi r cubed times rho over the distance, which is x plus r squared. And in this case, it's x plus r because this distance r has to be between the has to be to the center of mass. And similarly, this is the gravitational acceleration from the small cavity will be g times 4/3 pi r over 4 cubed times rho over the distance to the center of mass squared. So this is just x plus 5r over 4 squared. And so this is equal to, well, you can just take some terms out. You get g times 4/3 pi rho, and then times r cubed over x plus r squared minus r over 4 cubed over x plus 5r over 4 squared. So then this is just the answer to problem 2. Okay, does anyone have any questions about this problem? Okay, since it appears that no one has any questions, then that's it for me.